Hey there, welcome to Here's What I Learned. I'm Jackie Hayes, a systems strategist, unapologetic, smutty romantasy lover, Dungeons & Dragons geek, and your no BS guide to building a business that works for you. This is the place where we swap stories, share lessons, and get real about the highs and lows of creating a life and business that actually feels good. No cookie cutter advice here, just honest conversations about what's working, what's not, and how to rewrite the rules to fit your version of success. So grab your favorite beverage, get comfy, and let's dive in. Welcome to another episode of Here's What I Learned. Today I am talking with Sarah Gemmell. She helps business owners build custom marketing strategies that fit their strengths, their business, and their ideal audience. And as you all know, I'm very much into that whole customs offerings. So Sarah, welcome to Here's What I Learned.
Thank you. I'm excited. I'm excited to get into this.
I will let you know that Sarah has already given me a gold mine of things off this interview. So you're definitely going to find some things in the interview. But before we do anything, Sarah, what is something you're learning about lately?
When you said this, when you were like, it can be personal or professional, I'm like, there's so many things. Because at the time of this recording, so I have an 8-month-old. He just turned 8 months. He's my first biological kid. And I'm like, I'm learning so much about life. Okay. But there's so many translations of these life lessons into business because it's like, there's no better motivation to really figure like things out in business than having a kid. Cause I'm like full-time mom, full-time working at home. And the one biggest thing that I've really had to learn is like this idea of being present, really slowing down and like giving myself grace. And that's something I've always struggled with and something I've been working on it for years. But I feel like I've never made these kinds of leaps in progress in terms of giving myself space and giving myself grace when it comes to like things not getting done. Like I'm very type A. I'm a recovering workaholic. Okay. Like I like things the way that I like them. I'm like, I have this to do. I want to get it done. And there's just been like in this season, it's like, that's just not what's happening. Right. So it's like in my personal life, really learning this slowness and being present. And if the laundry sits for a little bit longer or social media content doesn't get created until tomorrow, learning to be okay with that. And it's translating very interestingly into my business because now I'm like, okay, I'm very limited in capacity. Right. And it's like, I'm already having like trouble learning to give myself grace. So how can I simplify my business to where it's like simpler offers, simpler funnels, simpler systems, simple marketing. And really I've had to dial in my own marketing. So now it's like personal life translates into professional life. And now that's even translated into my clients where it's like, now they're getting more dialed in too. Right. And it's like, we really need to like, we don't have a lot of time to be wasting on stuff that's not landing with our ideal audience, right? And it's like, and when they get here, where are they going? So all this clarity and all this simplification has come from being a hot mess at home, okay?
I thankfully did not start my business until my son was off to college, so I have not had to have that. But I will say there are two things that probably created the most personal growth in my life, and one was having a kid, and the second was starting a business. So for you to be doing all that at the same time, yeah, exponential growth there for you.
Yes. And you know what's funny? I thought like my divorce was like a huge milestone in my life. And then starting a business, I broke my back and had a spinal fusion a few years ago. And I'm like, okay, like I'm good at like these big life occurrences. And then it's like, no, ma'am, you're going to grow this business while raising this child. And I was like, oh, it makes the divorce and the broken back thing look like a piece of cake.
I'm not sure that's a seller, but
Listen, I'm not here to market for divorce, okay? But it was definitely easier.
So, Sarah, I mean, obviously, since you are running this business and now have a young child, doing business your way is incredibly important. What does that mean to you?
I feel like it's so interesting because there really is no rules in online non-traditional entrepreneurship, right? Like there really is not this standard, which is something that really works to our advantage as business owners who are online, right? Or we're service providers, we're non-traditional. Like we don't follow this same expectation as someone who has like a brick and mortar restaurant or they sell real estate or whatever, right? But I think that in that is there's still becoming this standard of like, I post on Instagram, I have this high ticket offer, I have this mastermind. Like the offers have become standard. The way of using social media has become standard. And the biggest thing for me that I learned was in the offers, right? It's like, because I got the business coaching and I had the masterminds and the courses and the trainings, and we're told that if we want to build successful businesses, we have to have this type of offer. We have to have monthly recurring revenue, which let me just caveat that by saying, yeah, of course we need monthly recurring revenue, right? We need to have predictability, but we've learned that there's only one way to do that. Like everyone loves memberships right now. And for me, I learned like over the last few years, I've been really learning at the type of deliverables that I'm really, really strong at and I'm really not strong at. Like there are certain forms of service, like certain forms of providing a service that I'm just not good at. They're not my strong suit. I'm also like an ADHD brain. Okay. I got diagnosed late in life with ADHD, and it just is what it is. It's okay. But you have to figure out how you operate, right? What allows for you to be in your zone of genius? What allows for you to really hone in on your strengths and work around the weaknesses, right? So that for me really manifested through the types of offers. It was like, okay, cool. The membership is great, but I don't serve my clients the best in that low ticket, kind of hands off, high volume type of offer. So for me, doing business my way has been like, what offers do I feel really, really good about? And how can I deliver this service? What kind of deliverables do I want to include in those containers that allow for me to really speak to those strengths, right? Because the thing about marketing is like, people want to market to new audiences all the time. Right. But it's like, we also need to be marketing to our existing clients. We need to be giving them a great client experience. We want to get them to stay, right? We want to have some kind of retention plan. And it's like really honing in on how can we give a better client experience, retain more clients, and bring in new people. And it's by understanding how are you going to give them the best experience in that container with the deliverables, the offer, that kind of thing. So that for me has really been where I've honed in.
I think that was a big learning thing for me as well when it comes to the offers, because I started out as a VA and now I do a lot of strategy work because that's what my clients when I was a VA kept asking me to do anyways. And I found I light up when I get to just talk to one person, go deep, dig things out of their brain that they didn't even know was in there, and then organize it for them so they can take action on it. That's what I love to do. That's what I'm good at. It can be exhausting, but in a good exhausting way, as opposed to like, I have nothing left ever again, and I don't want to do this tomorrow. It's more like I'm exhausted. I can sleep well tonight, and then tomorrow I can't wait to do it again. Type of thing. So
yeah. Well, I feel like too, like, so for me, I'm like a strategy brain too. Like I can go beautiful minds on an idea, right? Give me a whiteboard and I'm very happy. The biggest thing for me was synchronous communication versus asynchronous communication. And this idea of like low ticket memberships that have like a community board. So like a Facebook group or a circle page, that is really hard for me to keep up with. Like I had a really hard time keeping up with that. And it's not, a lot of people are like, oh, well, they're not paying enough. That's not at all what it was. It's just that asynchronous communication becomes so overwhelming to my ADHD brain that it is very hard to keep up with. And because of the nature of those types of things is like people are on there 24/7. Right. And it's not that they expect you 24/7, but it's like this person needs you this morning, but this person needs you in the evening. And this person has a question, this person's posting. So I really had to figure out, like, I'm really good at synchronous communication. So how can I form this container? I'm actually working right now on a group container that is all synchronous communication and a peer-led group chat. Y'all can connect with each other, right? You can network, and I'm still going to have that value there. But when you're talking to me doing business my own way is saying, hey, I'd rather have more meetings on the schedule for synchronous communication. Come into this virtual space, get time with me. We can go back and forth, brainstorm, have ideas, whatever. And then I'll see you next week. And that feels really, really good, as opposed to like, oh, I have to build a circle community or a Kajabi, especially when I got pregnant. That was like the number one thing people told me. They're like, well, just voice note your clients and just have a Slack channel so that when you're nap trapped or breastfeeding, you can just answer clients. And I'm like, when I'm breastfeeding, the last thing I want to do is be talking to my clients. Like, I love you guys very much. And I want to just be here with him while he's breastfeeding and just take a second. I don't want to be working while I'm breastfeeding. Right? Like, but that was the number one advice I got. Like, don't put calls on your schedule because you're going to have a baby. Just have everything be asynchronous. And my brain was like, no, like that sounds terrible.
I am the same way. There is this big push to go asynchronous on your communication with your clients and everything. And I understand how it works well for a lot of people. And I have that, but it's backup communication because I can't do that deep strategy work when there's 2-hour delay between conversation, because I'll lose my train of thought or the momentum or whatever it is. And I can't read your facial expressions because like, are you lit up right now? Or are you like, I'm just agreeing with Jackie because she said so type of a look on your face. So I need, when I'm doing the strategy work with somebody, I need that we're together in the same time, same place. And then we can just like clarify on Voxer or something like that. But
exactly.
Yeah, it's not, async isn't the solution for everybody. And I'm a moderator on a Discord channel for a personal thing, one of many moderators. So don't worry, people, it's not being ignored because I get on there and I'm like, there was 50 things that happened in the last 20 minutes in this one channel marked as red. I hope nobody said anything offensive because I'm not dealing with it.
Well, and that's exactly like my brain. I'm like, oh my God, I run away because I'm like, 50 notifications on this one platform, but I have 10 platforms I have to get through. Like my brain is just so overwhelmed by it. Now listen, that's something we have to work on. Okay. That's a work in progress on the personal development side, and saying, okay, like I know that that's not my strength. And I think that what we're seeing right now in entrepreneurship is people want to make more money, but deal with people less. And it's like, how can I build my revenue, but not actually have to talk to people? And they don't deserve my time. They're only paying $100, $50, whatever. And it's like, I don't buy into that. I'm not really a fan of that mentality where it's like, if you're a service provider, you are going to have to give a service and you are going to have to talk to a person and give them your time and your energy. You should be priced accordingly, right? It should be a fair investment so that it's a fair trade of value. But you can't build a movement. You can't really change people's lives by saying, well, how do I build the most revenue, but be the most hands off? And then when you get more excited about, here's the deliverables that I know work for me, where I can give my clients the best service. Now your energy is different. Your excitement about the offer is different. Makes your marketing easier, right? But you're also having a bigger client transformation. And I think this is where we really have to look at like, what are we in business to do? Yes, we want to be profitable. Yes, we want to make money. More women have to be okay with saying that. And we still want to give a really good service and actually have an impact in what we're doing. So like for me, and I also know my target market is also an ADHD brain. So my target market also gets overwhelmed with asynchronous communication. So if I say, hey, listen, I have office hours 3 times a week. A lot of business coaches will lose their mind because a middle of the road price point for 3 times a week office hours that's a lot. But if I only have these office hours and there's no group chat in between, you can just come into the office hours. We're here, we get it done. Now you can go off and worry about your other things. My ideal clients, my target market loves that because they're like, listen, I don't need another Discord channel. I don't need another Slack channel. I don't need another Voxer thread, Telegram thread, whatever. I'll come to you when I have a question. I'm like, perfect. See you there. So it's like you get so dialed into what works for you, what works for your target market. It makes marketing a ton easier.
I love that idea of office hours. That is like a great way of still protecting your calendar and being able to show up, because these are the times that I'm available, but you're not filling up your calendar with Zooms all over the place.
Yeah. Yeah. If you think about like, I'd rather take my office hours are going to start at an hour, but when you get to a certain volume, they might bump up to two. Like I'll have them probably cushioned for two. But even if I have 2 hour blocks of time, 2 or 3 days a week, I can still serve a ton of people in that space. And I know that, first of all, you don't have to come to every office hours. It's not curriculum based. It's not course based. I'm not teaching. It's like, come, let me know what you need feedback on. These are action takers. They're experienced business owners. They're actively doing these things. They just need guidance to stay aligned and profitable, right? I know that about them. So not everyone's going to come to the office hours, but when you do need it, it's there because it's available 2 or 3 days a week. So you really don't have a big gap of time in between the next session. And I know that when you come to that office hour and ask questions, like I'm going to give you that strategy. I'm going to give you that answer, and I'm going to give you a ton of stuff to go work on. And then like, if you still need feedback, I'll see you next time. I'll see you at the next office hours.
That's awesome. I love that idea. Now, going back to what you said earlier about standards, like there's a standard way of doing everything, and including marketing. Like we all know the things that we're supposed to be doing. There's a standard way of doing things, but you do custom strategy when it comes to marketing. So that fits with people. How is that, like, what's the difference in that? Like if somebody was working with somebody who goes with like more standard advice and then they shift and start working with you, what would that be like?
The biggest difference, and I always say that I'm a consultant, not a coach. And the biggest difference in that, coaching is very curriculum based. It's here's my signature framework. Here's how I do things. You're going to do step 1, step 2, step 3. It might be a course format. It's very structured and it's a little bit more rigid. Consulting is saying, hey, you have all this knowledge, you have all this experience. How do we take that and just turn it into a strategy, an action plan, and implementation? Right? So turning all this knowledge that you already have. I'm not typically working with new people who have never marketed before, right? They have some level of experience marketing. They've built a personal brand, they've built a business. Now they might be in a transition. A lot of my people are transitioning, say like in person to digital marketing, or they might be launching a new offer, a new industry, whatever. But you have some level of experience. So we really just need to figure out what is going to work best for you, for your target market, and for the offer, right? It's the offer and like the lifestyle. So for example, if you really hate TikTok, why are we going to include TikTok on your marketing plan? Not because some guru told you that they made $1 million on TikTok. It's to say, okay, you have a lot of resistance around TikTok, but we can reach your target market on these 3 other platforms, right? And someone on Instagram told you that you have to have Instagram and email list, but email lists might not be the best fit for your audience. They might be more responsive on a text list, right? Or maybe your industry. I have a client right now, she's in wellness, and it's like, yeah, we can do email. Or we could build a text list where you're giving them wellness tips and journal prompts every week. And that's juicy. People love stuff like that and they want it right on their phone, right? It's like figuring out who is your target market, what are they most responsive to, and then what's going to work with you. I know for me, for example, I don't translate well in writing. I'm very like, I'm an academic and I'm a nerd in my brain. So like I write like I'm writing for an SAT. But like, obviously listening to me, that's not how I talk. That's not how I am. I translate so much better on video. So my marketing plan includes a lot of video, right? And it's like, do I want to do video? Do I want to do writing? And that's the kind of thing that is a custom marketing plan. It's like, let's take all of these ideas, all of the knowledge that you have, all the experiences, and look at your strengths, but also what your buyer and your ideal audience wants. How do they want to consume information? Where are they hanging out online? Like at the end of the day, we don't market for ourselves. It has nothing to really do with what we like. It has to do with what translates best for the target market. That's really where that customization comes in. And it's not to say like, I feel like when you get coaching or a course or you start to see things online, it's like, well, Pinterest is a great example. Everyone should be on Pinterest. Well, no, not everyone should be there because not everyone's target market is there, right? Oh, LinkedIn, everyone's getting on LinkedIn, but is it right for your target market? That's the kind of thing I really guide my clients on. It's like, let's take all this noise, let's take all the lead sources that are an option and figure out which ones are actually going to work for you and your target market. So that's really what I do. I'm not really teaching a lot of new information. It's like organizing all the things that they already know and then saying, okay, here's a fresh perspective. Let's make sure that it's aligned. Let's make sure it's landing the way that you want it to. Sometimes we're just too close to it and you think it sounds really good or you think it's really clear. And then I come in and it's like, well, what does this sentence mean? Is that landing the way we want it to, right? Like you think it's really creative, but it's actually confusing AF. And they're like, oh, you're right. Change, right? Or this call to action is a little fluffy. How can we have a better call to action that actually sends them into the pipeline?
What is one thing you would tell the audience to change when it comes to their marketing that they could do like this week that would have a big impact?
The biggest thing I've been talking about with my clients in the last, I would say like the last 6 months is messaging. And at the end of the day, your marketing comes down to your messaging. If you don't know how to effectively talk about who you are, what you do, and who you serve, it will never land the way that you want it to. And you don't have to be a fancy copywriter. You just have to be dialed in. So something that you can do like today to get dialed in to that audience is think about all the conversations you've had. Think about your sales calls, your coffee chats, when you're in networking meetings. What are people saying about your industry, about your zone of genius, right? So for example, if you're a fitness coach, what are people saying about the gym? What are they saying that they hate about workouts or nutrition or whatever? What is the objection when you get on a sales call and they say no? Right? And then really dialing in your marketing and using their exact words. And if you haven't had a sales call, if you haven't had a coffee chat, if you hadn't had any networking meetings in the last like 3 months, that's a whole nother problem. Okay, we might have to have a talk. But you can go and you can look through Facebook groups. You can even ask the people that are close to you to get on a call with you and ask them some questions. How do they feel about this? What are their goals? What are their pain points? What do they like? What do they dislike? When they have a question, are they going to Google? Are they going to TikTok? Are they going to Instagram? Is there anyone that still uses Bing? You'd be surprised. Okay. I actually I need to stop using Bing because it kind of irritates me sometimes. But guess what? I use it because it's the home search engine for my computer. People are still using it, right? So it's like, we want to really understand, do we have the target market who's using Apple and it goes right to Google, or are they using a Dell that opens up right to Bing? These are things we need to know to dial in our marketing. And if you can use their exact words in your hook, in your title, it's not just about social media. This is about all your marketing, because all of your marketing requires content, right? Whether you're creating a blog, email, text, graphics, social media, podcast, whatever it is, everything requires some form of content. We'll use a podcast as a perfect example. If you're creating a podcast and you're recording all these episodes, if the titles are not dialed into your ideal listener, they're never going to hit play, right? The title and like that short little description of the show notes needs to be dialed in messaging for them to even want to listen to the episode. That's where a lot of people are really missing the mark. And that's where people are noticing that their leads list is just a little dry like the Sahara. Okay. Because their ideal client is scrolling right past them.
Sarah, where can the audience find you? Because I know they're going to want to.
Yes. Find me on Instagram. I love Instagram. Can't get me away from Instagram. It's just my name, @Sarah Gemmell. And from my Instagram, you can find all my other links. My website is sarahjeanco.com.
Excellent. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Thanks for hanging out with me on Here's What I Learned. If today's episode gave you an aha moment, a laugh, or something to think about, make sure you're subscribed to my email list. That's where I share even more tips, stories, and behind-the-scenes insights to help you simplify and thrive. And remember, you get to do business and life your way. Until next time, keep experimenting, keep simplifying, and keep learning.